Hermes draw near, and to my prayer incline, in arts gymnastic and in fraud divine.
Dire weapon of the tongue which men revere, be present, Hermes, and thyself plant here.
Welcome to Third Eye Bind, episode 37, Plant Magic. Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Kaitlyn.
And welcome to another incredible episode of Third Eye Bind.
Welcome.
Today, we have another very special episode. Times two. We have some effing legends on today. We have Chelsea and Juliet from freaking Elder Hour joining us today.
For those of you who don't know, Chelsea Randazza Selby is the founder and head witch in charge at Witch Baby Soap. And if you don't know Witch Baby Soap,
what are you even doing?
You need to know Witch Baby Soap.
It's freaking Witch Baby.
Witch Baby Soap is an oasis for occult-driven bath and beauty products. In addition to their online presence, Witch Baby has 2 brick-and-mortar locations in New Jersey, and the newest addition to their IRL family, Magick Manor, a witchy home goods experience.
Yes, and Juliet Diaz is an indigenous Taino plant bruja, spiritual and literary activist, and the award-winning best-selling freaking author of Witchery, Plant Witchery, and the newest title, The Altar Within. Juliet is also the creator of 5 incredible editions of Seasons of the Witch Oracle, YouTube creator, and the founder of Spiritbound Press, a publishing house dedicated to amplifying diverse voices in spirituality and wellness. They're both freaking amazing.
Awesome.
And they both really love plants.
Mm-hmm.
So today we will be talking about plants.
Absolutely. But before we get started, if you like our show, please be sure to like, subscribe, drop in the comments, rate and review our show, share it with your friends, tag us on social media. Any little thing helps. And if you love us, please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/thirdeye-bind.
Yes, we have 3 great tiers with lots of fun perks.
Absolutely. And it's your contributions that help keep our independent podcast going. So thank you.
We like doing this.
We really love doing this. And it seems like y'all love us doing this. So
that makes sense, right?
That makes sense to
me.
Okay.
All right, let's get started.
So,
welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the show, friends. Before we jump into the conversation, we're going to do what we always do and pull a tarot card.
Pull a card.
That's it? Okay.
That's it?
That was fast.
About plants.
That was just like half a shuffle. I think it's going to be.
I don't know what it's going to be.
Let's see.
Okay. I pulled the 2 of Swords.
Oh, nice. Interesting.
And I love this card, actually, because when we arrive in the 2 of Swords, we find ourselves at this moment when we are struggling to take action or make a decision or to see clearly for ourselves. If we're looking at the 2 of Swords in the Smith-Waite deck, we have a figure who is holding 2 swords in front of their chest, sitting on a rock or like cement bench, and they're blindfolded. And behind them is still water. And when it comes to our relationship with plants, I know that personally, like plant spirits, plant parents are these beautiful elders who can support me during these moments at the crossroads, who can give me whatever energy that I feel like I don't have that can help push me in the right direction when I don't have the strength to do it on my own. And then also like going back to this idea of the crossroads and magic. The crossroads are a place where spirits converge and where spells are cast. And plants play such an important part in so many of our spiritual and magical practices when it comes to casting spells, saying prayers, brewing potions. So I think this is also like, there's the energy of the water behind the figure. There's air in the swords. There's the moon in the background. But what we lack in this card is like earth,
Right.
which can be brought to us through the plants. And also, like, just when we think of the elements in general, different plants have different elements attributed to them. And that's one way that I consider how I'm engaging with plants, whether it's in my medicinal and holistic practice or my spiritual practice. So I think this is actually kind of a lovely and unexpected card for, I thought for sure we were going to get something with like within the pentacles, but it never ends up that way, does it? It's always something a little bit different.
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
I'm really excited to chat with Juliet and Chelsea because you two are the hosts of Elder Hour, which is a really fucking cool podcast that dives into folklore, tradition, culture, and even like botanical, biological elements of the plants.
Yeah, like the real scientific names and like very detailed things. And each episode is dedicated to a different plant.
They're so smart.
They're so smart.
They're so smart.
So how did you each come into magic or plant magic? Like, where did that begin for both of you?
I was like one of those girls that would make plant potions in my backyard and just like
Same.
it's really just childhood neglect, probably. That's what I would say. Where it was.
Truly. Are you an only child?
Yes, the plants were my only friends. So, yeah, I also was just hella witchy as a kid, like would play with all the plants outside. I was obsessed with like Ouija boards and stuff like that. So just classic spooky baby.
Spooky
When
baby
I was
angel.
like 9, I was like, Mom, I'm a witch. And she was like, no, you're not. And I was like, here's all the stuff I printed out from Angel Fire. I'm a witch.
That's amazing.
So
Yes.
yeah, thanks Angel Fire.
Literally.
Thanks, Angel Fire.
The kids won't know, but the real ones will know exactly what
I
we're talking
still
about.
like little spinning goddess gifts, the whole 9.
Aw.
Yes. What about you, Juliet?
Same. I did hang out a lot outside. I'm an 80s baby. So for me, life outside, I lived surrounded by cemetery. So there was a lot of flowers, a lot of trees, and I naturally just gravitated to there because it was peaceful. I also come from an indigenous background, first generation. So my mom was pregnant with me on her way from Cuba, literally on the boat. And all of our culture and our spiritual traditions are surrounded or are embedded with nature and plants. So that's just something more of a lifestyle for me, how I've grown up knowing how to have a connection, a relationship, an intimacy with them. And then the magic just naturally came along with it, right? Because a lot of people often think like they can't connect to nature or that they don't have a green thumb, for instance. And I think it's just a matter of connecting, practice, because that natural innate magic lives within us. So I think it's just natural for all of us to have this magical connection with plants.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was similar for me. It was like burning random plants, experimenting with things at a very young age, but also like being aware of like the animistic like qualities of like nature in general and feeling that these things had like spirits and not just they weren't just blades of grass. Like they actually that general like existed like awareness of the existence of that energy, I think attracted me to plants, which are fucking nature, so it's like it was a part of that whole energetic thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would definitely burn random shit and like tomato leaves for some reason.
Yes.
What's this?
Like
What does it do?
why?
What is
What does it do? Yeah, it smells like shit is what it smells like.
I bet.
Not good. My parents thought it was weed and they like ran in. Literally like, why are you smoking weed? I was like, you're smoking weed. I'm not smoking weed. But yeah.
How would you say that your relationship with plants intersects with your magical practices today?
I mean, I feel like it's just everything. Like, I don't know. Like, there's really no separation or intersection. It's just like the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just like, I don't know. I'm always like, I can't even imagine a life where, like, you know, nature isn't involved. Like, some people who live their life and they don't interact with nature at all, like, I can't even fathom the idea of that. That's so like bizarre to me. But like a lot of people live like that. I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, kind of same. It's in everything, like inside, outside, everywhere. I mean, just naturally, we're doing Elder Hour. We didn't expect it to blow up as much as it did. We hardly even promote it because we do it as
it's just like a fun thing.
It's a hobby. We geek out. Like, we geek the fuck out.
Yeah.
Oops, can I curse?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you
definitely allowed.
New Jersey coming out. No, but for real, like, this is like, we love doing Elder Hour. Like, we just recorded yesterday for the first time in a while. And we just feel so good. Like, we jump into everything about those plants because everything about the plants just, there's lessons, there's wisdom, there's transformation. There's so much that you can learn from them. So I don't see how I wouldn't have it embedded in everything that I do.
Right.
Even cooking, right? That's like spiritual.
Yeah.
Working, because to a lot of us, it's ancestral. Like, I like to feel like I'm channeling in the kitchen. Like, I'm just moving around. My hands are being moved. I don't measure. Like, you know, we hear that story a lot about people who are connected more to, like, say, kitchen witchery or kitchen magic or ancestral cooking. We feel like we're being guided by spirit, by our ancestors. And a lot of that has to do because you're connecting through the plants themselves, through that energy, through those spirits.
I think that's really beautiful. And I've seen you like work with that and really get connected to the plant as like an entity with like these very, very specific, like nuanced, like personalities. And that's, I don't know that I've always gone that deep with it, you know, but I love that you have that awareness. It's really fucking magical to like witness and just, you know, that's so cool. That's so cool that you have that relationship with plants in that way.
It's more of a surrender, I think, because if you try to, I mean, we can learn from books, we can learn all the definitions and all the properties and all those things, but if we don't actually create a relationship with these plants, even if it's just, you know, like herbs, say basil, let's use basil, why not? We're cooking with basil, and I
love basil.
Fucking basil rocks.
So good.
I don't know where that came from, but yeah, so like even just your natural ingredients, simple ingredients, you know, what they call the mundane, are the most powerful spirits that you can be around, because those are the ingredients, those are the plants that most people have worked with for so long, for generations. So just to surrender to being present and to being mindful and compassionate with what you're working with, who you're handling, I think it's what makes us better. It's more of that than knowledge, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you think our relationship with plants informs the plant's personality or like spirit, or is it sort of a mutual thing, or is it like the other way around, that the plant likes to be used in a certain way over time, and then, do you know what I'm saying? Like, like garlic salt.
I feel like plants definitely have their own like personality.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know, not to be like
even like the same plant. Like if you had 2 snake plants, each one have
right.
Agree.
They have
They're
like
not all the same,
vibe, but like they have their own personality. Like sometimes I don't know. Like I put a snake. We were just talking about this. I put a snake plant in my bathroom, and it had like this peeping Tom energy. Like, I was just like, why are you so nosy? Like, Like it just felt like a person was in the room. You know what I'm saying? I have this other plant in the bathroom, but it's like a succulent, and it's like, who cares? But the snake plant, I was like, I just like am so aware that this snake plant is like here. Some plants, they just like have an energy, and it's not like perceiving a plant's energy isn't as much like having a full conversation. For some people, it could be like conversing with a plant, but for me, it's just like interacting with the plant and like what my experience with that plant is. Like, I don't know, like it feels like either it's just chilling or, you know, like, I don't know, does this make any sense?
It does.
No, absolutely.
Some of my plants are like more needy
Yeah.
to me, or they're like big and they're like, hey, I'm like,
like,
okay,
dramatic.
like, goddamn.
Like, why are you so dramatic?
Yeah.
You can put googly eyes on your snake plant in the bathroom. And
So I think a lot of a lot of plants, like us, we have different parts and aspects to us, right? And just because we don't know of those aspects or those parts or that essence of a particular plant, because, you know, everything we know is basically either with working by experiencing and having a relationship, or what we know by education, right? Academic knowledge. And then, of course, our spiritual elders, what we learn through them. And I still think there is still space, so much space to discover something else about a plant, no matter what is out there, because they're expansive. They are just like us. We're expansive beings. We're not one thing. We can't be tied down to a certain thing. We'll be boxing them in just like we don't want to be boxed in. So when you have a relationship with a plant, depending on how you're approaching that plant, I think that the plant, from my experience, they approach you with the energy, with the healing, with the wisdom that they can see and feel through you, because remember, we're connected. So when you create that connection, they're going to know, they're going to want to travel through you, heal you, especially if you're a good person, if you're a person that they feel safe and protected around. Now, I also feel, because there are very like tough love kind of plants out there, because why not? They will go to the spaces that you maybe don't even want to travel to, you know, bring up maybe some trauma, bring up things that you don't want to look at. So, and I also think that us as people, I think when we find these connections with these plants, they're wanting to also learn through us how we're showing compassion, how we're learning through our humanity, learning through our perspectives and how we handle not just them, but ourselves. So I think it's an open-ended question, I think, because I think everybody experienced it differently.
Yeah.
Laura?
I'm like emotional.
I can feel you.
I know. No, I'm like, it's just plants, because they're inanimate. I just think they're just misunderstood in that way. And they do have their own spirits. It's like that movie with the food that's alive. And they, do you know what I'm talking about? What's that movie called? Sausage Party?
Oh,
Have you seen it?
Though.
They give food personalities and plants. And so they're like chopping the carrots and they're like, ah!
Oh,
you know, you should watch it. But no, it's emotional.
Are there any plants that have either challenged you or been supportive to you during a challenging time that you can recall?
That challenged me? I don't really know. I guess like, well, we just talked about foxglove on our podcast.
That was intense.
And when I got a foxglove, I was kind of it was like a little bit scary.
What's a foxglove?
Okay, so foxglove is like it's like hardcore fairy flower. But it's poisonous.
They're bell shaped.
Yeah,
they're
flowers
pretty and tall.
Pretty.
Do they have little branches with little bells?
They're like little.
Yeah.
Like a big stalk kind of, and then it has like the. Yeah. Yeah, that was a little bit intimidating. I had other like poisonous plants that I've worked with, not like directly. Like Datura was showing up for me for like a while. Like I moved. It showed up in the parking lot of where I was living, and then I moved and it showed up like at my neighbor's house, just in her garden.
Wow.
It was like stalking me.
Casual, just in the garden.
See, I got a totally different vibe from the foxglove. I was like, I don't know. I'm kind of like a little bit on edge, but now I'm like used to it. I don't know. It became a friend. But at first I was like a little unsure.
For me, it's definitely the orchid. I used to not really pay attention to them. My mom had orchids in the house. But I found that through my life, I don't know if you know, I know Laura knows, Chelsea knows, I was homeless for a while, and there was a tree who had orchids. Good job, Juliet. And I just remember, like, anytime I had like real depression, obviously I was homeless, I was going through a lot. The orchid always found a way to pull me towards wherever it was. I would randomly walk in the middle of the night, just like in the park, and I would always sit or always land somewhere where they were. And throughout life, what they've done is, because orchids are very, very protective, like fierce protectors. There are many other things, but for me, I felt that mothering embrace of protection. And I don't think it's something that's naturally something that they do. And again, that's what I said, depends on the person. I have a connection with them. And for some reason, they wanted to protect my spirit, and not from outside world, from myself. When I started bringing them into my home, I started noticing like their whispers and what they were traveling through my body was more protecting me from like harmful patterns, harmful language.
And like heart-centered.
Very heart. Oh my God. And it's like the protection that I felt, it started to make me feel safe with myself. And that's when I started to learn that building a relationship with myself, an honest fucking relationship where I can honestly look at myself and like, bitch, you need to work on this. Or look at my day and be like, okay, where could I have done better for myself? Now I am, instead of looking at everybody, instead of expecting a savior, instead of expecting someone to come and heal me, to love me, they taught me to do that for myself. So I think orchids for me.
I actually had a very similar experience with orchid. Now that I think about it,
this is how we work. By the way, we start like.
So I haven't been able to grow an orchid since, by the way. But when I was in my orchid phase, I just moved to Florida, and I was like getting out of, living with my mother who was having her own problems. And then I was realizing that I had PTSD, and that's when I had a lot of orchids in my life. So that's like really kind of wild.
It is. They really do. If you allow them. And I remember I always do these very aesthetic pleasing, how people say, videos or whatever. But I do it because I try to capture, right, Laura, you experienced me doing this. It's not that I'm trying to make the video pretty. My videos that I share, I try my best to capture what it is that I'm seeing myself.
Yeah.
Right? The energy that I'm sensing. So when people say, "Oh, I felt that energy in that video," or "Oh, this feels really beautiful. It brought me a sense of something," I don't say anything but thank you, because the underlying truth of those videos of how I use social media is to share how I see things, especially when we're going through so much fucked up times right now, I'm sorry.
No,
The way that you portray the plants. I know, it's emotional. This is very emotional.
I'm fucking emotional.
The way that you interact with your plants, the way you give them smoke, the way you give them kisses and love and touch is really beautiful. And it comes across like it's very inspiring, I think, for people that don't have that relationship with a plant or don't have like given themselves the permission to have a relationship with that plant. I think it's inspiring.
Like plants either. She's made me a better hugger.
Oh my God, she's
me too.
a hugger now.
I was such a shitty hugger.
Look.
I'm a shitty hugger too.
Oh my God! I was like a fine.
No, let me tell you the story, okay?
Her love is infectious.
I understand. It is, Chelsea. I feel like we're similar, little Taurus vibes. And yeah, I get that. I'm like, this one too. This one is very emotional.
I need to be like defrosted.
Defrosted.
Like, Jesus Christ.
I
put her in the greenhouse.
So when I first physically, because we of course online relationship, but
We met at the oddities.
that's why
Yeah.
when physics in the oddities, I remember I went to go hug her. I was so excited to see Chelsea, right? and Chelsea's like this. Go do it.
What? Like,
No.
like.
No, it was worse. It was like, I was like, oh my God, Chelsea does not like me.
I'm just like,
And I was like, oh, and my husband was there, of course, Will. And he was like, no, I'm sure she's just
I'm
busy.
just like a cactus.
Then the next time, same thing. Like they're there. So I think it's really beautiful because she says that about me, but she healed a lot for me. Like I didn't
I
know.
gave her some of my cactus.
I was
Hell yeah.
learn the boundaries.
I mean,
she's taught me how to be better with boundaries and how to respect other people's boundaries, right? And then she's also given me permission to be myself and to learn from my mistakes. Like if we fucked up, like if I did something in a relationship between us, she's given me space to like think about it or process it and then tell me and open up about what it was or whatever. And then we just grow from there. And I don't find many relationships with friends to be that way. Because we're so accustomed to just shutting people off, like canceling them, and for
ghosting,
and not giving you a chance or explaining.
Stubborn.
It's okay. I think I'm stubborn.
Taurus.
I think I'm stubborn in a lot of ways too. I don't think anyone's perfect. I'm not perfect by far. I'm not perfect. You know, the version of me that you get, that I send a lot of love and I embrace you, I have a lot of shit that I have to work through. You know, this is years of me trying to reflect back on how I need to change, how I need to be a better person.
But
So,
everybody needs to change. It's a constant journey. Like it's
a constant journey.
You know?
Yeah.
You always got to keep going.
And I find like with plants, that's the same thing I feel with them, right? You don't want to cut a plant down or take it out of your home because it doesn't look perfect, right? That to me is just, it's ridiculous, it's disrespectful, and ignoring a plant, not watering the plant when it needs to be watered, not paying attention to those plants. It's a reflection of how you may treat yourself or how you may treat others or how you allow others to treat you.
100%.
There's has to be a connection. There has to be a link. It could also be your disconnection to yourself, your true self, your spirit, or just a spiritual connection
or
to the
reality.
Earth. Yeah,
like,
right.
Even the physical,
like the bypassing.
Because, like, if you're going through every day and you have house plants that are just dying, like, but you're in that house every day, where are you? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, absolutely.
If you're not looking around and seeing that your plants are dying, like where
I literally can't walk by my plants without them fucking telling me they're thirsty. Like it's a pool. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm
it
like,
is a feeling.
I'll get to you in a little bit. And I end up going and watering them anyway. And then I do all the plants in the house.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I like watering my plants because the cat gets really excited about it. She's like a little gardener. Like she likes to hear the water trickle in the pot. So like she just motivates me to water the plants. So
I love that. How about you guys? What plants do you think has like to switch it up? We're also hosts. So how about you guys?
This is supposed to be a 25-75 relationship.
Yeah.
We're told by our producer.
We were told by our producer to not talk as much.
I'm sorry. You should have said
we were told we talked too much during interviews.
No, it's fine. For me, like, this is such a basic witch plant, but lavender.
Yeah, no,
it's my thing.
That's a tough one though. I can't I have a hard time growing lavender.
Okay.
A lavender plant.
Did it die already?
No, it's good. It's good.
Oh.
Yay.
Okay, well maybe it's not so basic then, but
no, definitely not basic. No,
it's not.
It's life, like the color of it, like just that plant, that scent has been very with me since I was a kid. But like very childhood.
Gemini, right?
She's Gemini.
Yeah.
That's like
yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Mercury.
Yes.
Oh, shit. We love Mercury here.
We love Mercury.
But really also pumpkin plants. Like pumpkins.
They're so magical.
Oh my
God. I am like
Calabacita.
obsessed with pumpkins. Like I don't really know why. I think it's another like thing that ties me to my childhood, but I'm like stupid obsessed with pumpkins.
I have them all over my house, like pumpkin decor. I have a whole bunch of ceramic pumpkins in my kitchen, and then I have like just pumpkins all over my living room, but they're like everyday pumpkins. They're like not specifically Halloween pumpkins.
They're not occasion pumpkins.
Yeah, like it's
they're lifestyle pumpkins.
Yes. It's not just for Halloween.
Yeah.
One has like painted ceramic, the other one's like a pink glass pumpkin. I have some floral pumpkins.
Ooh.
You know,
Yes.
I'll send you pictures.
So
Please do.
the pumpkin spirit, and there's two different, it's kind of like the leaves themselves and the roots have a different essence to them than the pumpkin itself. They're kind of two separate entities, but the same. And for somebody, and I know it's because, you know, it's witchy and we have pumpkins, but they're, just because it's commercialized today, there's still truth behind why magical people, spiritual people are attracted to fall, and also pumpkins and the way that looks, right? In the fields, for instance, or in your home. They have this really beautiful mystic quality about them. And they attract a lot of people who are visionaries, people who are creative, people who are wild in a sense, like they're, you know, how they grow their roots.
Like spread around.
Yeah. So I find that a lot of people who are that way are connected to them. But I also find that people who are attracted more to the darker leaves of the pumpkin, the background, like if you have a pumpkin, you want it behind like a darker greenery with those leaves. Those particular people, I find, are embracing like their inner child, like a lot of the trauma inside of them, because it just opens them up and it wants you to like travel through your own spirit. So it makes a lot of sense.
And I will like fertilize them by hand. Like I'll sex them up, you know?
Yeah.
I get in there.
I'm trying to do
my sexuality is pumpkins.
Pumpkin sluts.
I'm a pumpkin slut.
T-shirt. I would buy that t-shirt.
A pumpkin slut t-shirt.
It probably exists already, but
probably
pumpkin
not.
slut soap. Pumpkin slut soap.
Ooh, what about a hat?
Chelsea.
What about a hat that says pumpkin slut?
Let's do it.
I'm gonna make a hat for fall that says pumpkin slut.
Like if you make a pumpkin slut t-shirt, it has to be like pumpkin
boobies.
Yeah.
Boobs.
Oh,
yes.
Why did I yell boobies?
That.
Like
or a pumpkin.
Why wouldn't you?
Pumpkin flower boobs.
Yeah.
Oh, or the leaves. The leaves on each boob.
Yes. Yes, to all
I
this.
love it.
What about you?
Creating merchandise together.
We are crossover.
Coming soon.
Coming
Collab.
soon. Collab.
For me, it's Tulsi, holy basil.
Ooh, yes.
Whether it's just the smell and the experience of growing it in my garden, in the tradition, my paternal family is Cuban as well. And in the tradition we're from, Espiritismo, we use holy basil a lot when it comes to rites of cleansing and protection even. And so basil is something that I grew up smelling and working with in a spiritual capacity, whether it's, giving myself paridas or cleansing the house or family members, but also like Tulsi is very helpful with balancing your nervous system and helping with anxiety. And when I am on high stress levels, drinking Tulsi is something that is so supportive for me in regulating my system so that I can get through my day and do the things I have to do. And I find that when I'm consuming it regularly, when the chaos of life pops up, I'm like, okay, we'll figure this out, instead of I'm in the tower.
No, that makes a lot of sense. That it's that's one of the main spirits for the curanderos and for the spiritualists. So, and it's been that way for a really, really long time. Since you are a fellow Cubana, try mixing it with Cuban oregano.
I do. Yeah. Because then you get a little bit of spicy in it.
Oh yeah. Yes. And a real reality check comes in. The lessons that come in.
I love oregano.
Fucking wild.
Oregano, the way it looks like a spade and it just cuts into things. Yes.
And I got the Cuban one. I'll give you some. Yeah. They're doing good.
I have 2 different kinds right now that I'm growing.
Awesome.
Fucking
What is a plant spirit who's guiding you? Who is a plant spirit who is guiding you or inspiring you right now?
You go first.
Ferns. My
Ooh,
nemesis.
tell us more. Tell us more.
Are those the
I
three sisters?
love. Yeah, my 3 big giant.
Your
ferns.
three, they're so
They're the
magical.
macho ones, though.
Mm.
Okay, so I love ferns. Like, I can look at them all day long. I want them all over my freaking house, but I can't keep up with them. It's just like I want all of them, and then I can't keep up with them. I want all of them, and I can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
What's the fucking lesson, Juliet?
Uh-huh.
Stop doing so much. Reel it in. And like nourish what you have, right? Like, and you were talking
Yes.
about your businesses, right?
Yeah.
That you want to nourish
Yeah.
your businesses now. It's the same thing with me. I mean, I think especially during 2020, because they were there in my face, they wouldn't shut up. I noticed that even being in my home, because you know what happened in everybody knows.
We were there.
What I don't want to talk about ever again.
Let's review. Just kidding.
Yeah, I learned a lot about spreading my energy to too many different places. And I think that because I am first generation, because I am daughter of immigrants, because I of the trouble and the struggle and the hardships that my family and our communities have gone through, we're raised, or I don't want to say programmed, but it's more like we're raised to believe that, you know, we need to be of service all the fucking time. And one of the messages that doesn't come through in that is you need to be of service for yourself. And ferns have taught me that. They're like, you can make it look like you have all the ferns in the world and you're doing great with all these ferns and you're probably the best person to take care of us, but we're going to show you you're not. And they were like real. They're so real. Like the littlest things that I missed, they were there to show me. Like they would just turn brown in like 2 days for no fucking reason. I'm like, I just water you. But the message was really for me to back off, bring in all of my energy and start to nourish myself and stop expanding all over the place. And I think a lot of people who follow me and a lot of people who know me in my work, they saw that I cut a lot of ties. I mean, all over the place. I was like, I'm going to cut them all because I think I have a nature of wanting to do things with other people, never on my own, right? I always want to share. I always want to give, or I want to do something with someone else, right? And that shows up a lot in everything that I do. But I've learned to trust myself and learn that I am capable and I'm able and that I'm safe with myself to bring a dream into life and to make it thrive. So yeah, I talk a lot, right?
No.
I can talk
But that's
all
why
day
you're
about
here.
plants. I don't.
That's why you're here to talk.
That's the idea.
That's the whole point.
This is Mercury's show.
It's like we're talking with we have microphones in front of us. So.
Yeah.
I know. Okay.
I love it.
I don't think I have a specific plant that I'm like right now. I've had a few that I've like had like a whole ass time with, but right now I'm just kind of like working on my garden and like trying to get good at like basically I feel like food plants. Like I just planted a cherry tree in my front yard. That was my Mother's Day gift because I was like, we need to grow our own food because I'm insane. So
but same.
I'm trying to grow like a lot of stuff right now, but I mean, I'm expanding I grow basil. Like I have like 5 different basil plants. So I put them in the ground this year. I'm going to see how they do. But yeah, I don't have like a specific thing. I started growing strawberries. So and now, but strawberries are like, they make me want to grow 1 million strawberries. I'm already like thinking about how next year I'm going to turn my entire deck into like a strawberry deck.
And
they're like this big. I haven't even, I'm like getting carried away.
Your whole porch, like the deck?
Yeah.
No, yeah, do it.
I was like looking at it the other day. I was like, I could put planters all around. All strawberries. So I don't know. Maybe the strawberries are calling to me. But I don't.
But why?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
But why?
You're like literally, she's like the queen of baths, like baños in her own way. And then you incorporate so much plant spirits into there. I think that you're not as.
I think the thing is, when I work with a plant, I'm not like trying to figure out why I'm working with the plant.
Intuitive.
Or like why I am feeling like I want a lot of that plant at that time. I just kind of like do it, and then afterwards I'm like, oh.
But that's how a lot of us espericistas, right? That's how we work when we're doing like spiritual workings, or like if we're in the kitchen, if we're doing any type of ceremony or magic. I think it's more of an intuitive pull of I'm grabbing this, I'm grabbing that. When I had my storefront, when I did magical workings, people, I thought it was normal for me, but people noticed in the store, they were like, oh, you're just randomly like going around and like grabbing. You come back like I'm fixing a candle or something. And there's, for instance, say it's for money. And I use something that's not particularly known for money. So people would catch that. And I'm like literally, that's not how I work with magic. It's what intuitively that candle and that essence of money that needs to come to me. Those are the herbs calling me that think or know that they need to be present in order for that to happen. Because if you're only using herbs, for instance, let me just say this for a little bit. I want to get into this really quickly because I see this a lot on the internet.
Do it.
When you're working with spells and say you're making a ritual candle, I see so many people just using the ingredients and the herbs and the roots that are for bringing money. But what about herbs that are going to take out your bad habits or your bad patterns to stop losing that money? How about those herbs and plants that are going to help you keep that fucking money? How about those herbs that are going to help you heal for your money trauma? You know, there's so much that we're missing today in witchcraft and even in just brujeria everywhere is the spirit of why, the purpose of why you're doing it. And I think that the way you work intuitively shows a lot how you're connected to that space of spirit and magic and the plant spirits.
Yeah, it'll just be kind of like random. Like I'll be really into like a few colors, a crystal, and like I can't stop eating one type of plant. And I'm like, what the fuck?
She does that a lot.
Like
you do.
Like
you get a kick. Like
I just can't stop.
She's like, I'm having plums all week. I don't think you said that one particularly.
Like being like
blueberries.
Spiritually pregnant.
Oh.
Like, pregnancy cravings from the universe.
Yes, that was cool.
I love that concept of just. I'm very much like that too. Or I'm very intuitive with how I do magic and very like in the moment and. Especially cooking. I mean, I make really good food and like you just grab what Mike's like, what did you put in there? I'm like, I don't know, a little this, a little that. Like the recipe's in here, like whatever. But I think that is a sign that you're really connected and obviously been, practicing long enough to trust yourself.
That's that right there, trust. I think if anything else is not our fault, first of all, everybody should know that. It's just a way that we've been adapted to learning or to receiving knowledge and information. So it's not all of our faults that we've fallen into this place where we need to learn from somebody else. We need to follow directions. We need recipes. We need spells. And the whole point is that we should start turning that energy into trusting ourselves so that when we do create with magic, you're going to trust that intuition. If you don't trust yourself, you're not connected to your intuition. I don't 100%. Care what you say, because your intuition is you, like 100% you, your core, your truth. So the more that you heal, or even if you're not doing a lot of healing work, just trust yourself more, believe in yourself more, trust that intuition. How many of us have said, fuck, I should have listened to my intuition? Like I get really pissed when I don't, and then I get the results. I'm like, fuck, I should know better. I'm 42 years old. But I think, it stems from trusting ourselves, right? It always comes back to like healing.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's like anything.
Yeah.
If you want to be able to manifest prosperity and abundance, you have to be like, you have to heal what's holding you back from that.
Yeah.
If you want love, you got to heal what's holding you back from that. If you like, it's.
Yeah, unlearn the narratives that are in your brain.
And then you just get it, and then you get fucked up again, and then you got to heal all over again.
All over again. This just fucking happened to me yesterday.
It's a cycle.
I was like,
no, it's the song that never ends.
It's a song that never ends.
As soon as you think, as soon as I feel like, okay, I think I got the hang of this. And this is real story. This is literally yesterday. I was like, I'm doing such a good job. I'm proud of myself. I'm pushing through my discomfort. And then something happens and I'm like, fuck, I'm really not that prepared. I need to do more work. But I think that when you start connecting to yourself more, it just becomes fun. It becomes special. It becomes something that you're looking forward to, even through the pain, even through the hardship of it, right? Even through the discomfort of it. There's still this presence of, I'm here for it. Let's do this. Let's keep going. Because I know that on the other side, it's, the person that I need to be in order for me to reach where I need to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
You have to like do it, like a lot of
Just
people
do it.
don't just do it. And then you don't build up the confidence or the energy or the power. Like, and the same thing with your intuition. Like, what's the worst thing that happens if you trust your intuition?
I know.
Like, I don't.
know. I think it's fun though. Like, make it playful. Make your life freaking playful again. I don't care what age you are. I'm 42 and I celebrated my 43rd birthday this year,
You
by the way.
fucking did.
I need a birthday redo.
Yeah.
I do. We need.
That's so fucking funny.
I need to celebrate my 42nd. I'm not 43, coño.
I think it's that 1 year that we lost.
I lost. Yeah,
it up.
I
Yeah.
lost that whole year. I don't know
How
where.
old am I?
How old am I? Oh my god, it was on my
I think
cake and
I'm
everything.
35.
It was on your cake.
On my
Oh.
cake. And I posted it online. Then I went back and edited it. So for me, I think a big lesson at this age and in this point in my life is that we need to bring back the playfulness of ourselves. Just like when we were children and outside making potions, outside, burning shit.
I was inside burning shit. And trouble.
So just that playfulness that we have as children and that curiosity, I think it's something that we should bring back allow us to be now, no matter what age we are, because that is where we discover, right? That's where we learn, where we fail, and failing is not weakness. Failing is part of life.
Think that even ties back into plants, because plants are really good teachers and a really good way to kind of like build up your endurance of failing, because you're going to fail like a lot when you start learning how to grow plants.
Yeah.
And deal with different problems, dealing with bugs, dealing with all of these different things. You learn really quickly how to problem solve. But then when the plant starts thriving again, you're like, oh my God, I did it.
Yeah.
And then if it dies, like maybe it comes back next year and you're like, you're back.
Yeah. Will, my husband,
funny.
he's the king of resurrecting plants.
Yeah.
I would be like, this is really not even close to living anymore. He's like, does it still have the spirit? I'm like, yeah. He takes it to his cottage, and the next year is like thriving. I'm like, how? If he's a tourist,
It's amazing.
A gift.
A gift.
Some people have that gift, and my dad has that, and that's where I get it from. Like that's his jam. He's not a real spiritual person per se, but man, he is excellent with plants and growing things. And I love the familial connection that, for me, like that's a big reason why I love plants, is because of my dad. And tomatoes particularly is something that like I grow because of him. Like he's planted trees that are in my backyard. Like it's like our language that is not like very outwardly emotional, and but he shows me love through plants.
I love that.
And as like parents, because you all have children, how do plants like relate to you, either like with your kids or like family or anything like that?
Yeah, for
Excuse
me.
You go.
Oh,
Okay. I mean, my daughter's
You're
like mildly interested in plants. It's not that. She's a picky eater, so if I grow it, she'll be more likely to eat it.
That's
Aw.
cool.
That's about it.
That's good.
We have some flowers. Like we have really beautiful flowers in front of our house. So she's always like looking at those and stuff like that. So it's more of like, she's 10. So she's kind of just like, more into making TikTok dance videos and
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, yes.
There's a whole like thing she's doing right now where she's like counting down the days on TikTok.
I love that so
It's
much.
a private account.
I'm excited for her. I'm excited for her.
Yeah.
That's cute.
But I think for me, because of my mom having just came to this country, and I talk about it in my books, where we didn't necessarily have like this loving relationship. It was a relationship with my mother, made sure we were fed, make sure we were inside the house before the street lights turned off, and that we were clothed, right? And that's it. So for me, at a very young age, what I learned from my mom through plants, it's watching her, how she was caring for them, how she was cooking, the beautiful magic that happened. Oh my God, the magic, the energy that I would feel off of my mom. I would never forget that. Like that's embedded in my soul. Just watching her, she becomes this and transforms into this different being when she's in the kitchen. So even tending to your plants, caring for them, just like us caring for ourselves, our children see that, right? Whether we think they're picking up on it or not, they're watching, they're still learning, because mine are already 14 and 17. Oh, prom today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh my
God.
god.
Wild.
That's
I know.
exciting.
That's great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and needs to go test for his driver's license, and I'm like trying to put it off as much as possible. I'm like, stay with me forever.
Be a baby.
A big giant baby. He's like super tall. But the way that I see them interact with their friends, and the way that I see them handle situations, I see a part of me in there, right? I see a part of things I might have said over and over, and I'm thinking they're not picking it up. But when I'm watching them,
That's true.
yeah, you fucking see it, and that is freaking powerful.
Yeah, we like go on walks and stuff, and I'm always like, that's poison ivy, that's this. Like, I've just the nature guide of our walks.
I love it.
So I'm like, oh, look at that. And then if I don't know what it is, I look it up. And she does the same thing now. She has the app.
They all have the
And
app.
She looks up like any flower. She doesn't know what it is. But then one day she was like walking home from school, and she was eating mulberries with her friends. And the lady was like, those might be poisonous. You don't know what they are. And she was like, they're mulberries. My mom told me.
Do you know who the fuck my mom is?
They do learn.
But also, I feel like that's so important to like eat something from outside. Like, you know, she's watched us hike, and my stepmom, she's like a real Southern belle. Like, she worked in the fields. Like, she's Southern as hell. And we stopped in the woods while we were hiking in Asheville, and we just started eating these blackberries that were just like randomly growing.
So yummy.
And Joe was from Elizabeth, so he was like, what are you guys doing? And we're just like eating them. But now she feels comfortable doing the same thing, but she knows what she can and cannot eat in the wild.
Yeah.
You know?
There was this one time, Micah, they're 14. They were maybe 6, and the school called me because I get emotional. The school called me because Micah found a dandelion like on the ground, like not just randomly there. They picked it up and went into the school and was carrying it in his hand, like their hand. Like, they would not put it down. It was in one hand. They were writing with the other one. So the teacher was like, can you please come pick up this dandelion? So then what I did was I was like, I'm going to go pick up my child. Okay. So I picked up my child. They came to my car and they were like, Mommy, can we save it? I'm like, that broke my heart. So it's that care and that nurturing, that when we present it, when it's present, whether no matter what chaos, what you're going through in your home, because I know a lot of us don't have or are not lucky enough to have like a relationships that are, in harmony, right? There's stuff that comes up too in our lives that are hard. There's work, we have to pay for bills, and I know a lot of us want to spend more time with our children. But if we focus on just showing ourselves a little bit more love and embrace, and the same thing with that connecting and doing the same thing with plants, they're watching and they're going to feel that too. And it's going to translate to how you treat them as well.
They also have their own experience, like with plants. Like, their plant world is like different than our plant world. Like, our plant world, we're like cooking, we're doing all this stuff. Theirs is like dandelions. Like, they're always like wishing on dandelions.
Yep.
And there's like berries, and they get like kids get really in touch with bushes as hiding places. So like the plants that they interact with that are way different than the ones that we do as adults. It's more like weedy, more like random
dirt,
flea bane, like just like
bugs.
Yeah, like they really, or just sometimes Gia and her friends, they come home with like the neighborhood's flowers, and I'm like,
I have done that before.
So,
I remember going around and picking everyone's fucking like roses and shit, and people yelling at me and my friends.
So they just have like a different, it's really funny to watch the way that kids like interact. Then Gia has one friend who knows all of the poisonous plants. she's like, I did a
Cool.
report on it once, and she knows like
Ooh.
every poisonous plant, and so like I don't know, they all have like different relationships.
I do that with my children since they
Yeah.
were small. I have them not only my books to read those, but I have them do like reports, like essays. So anytime, especially they have questions about something, I'm like, how about you give me an essay on that? And I want it by
Gia
next
would kill
Friday.
me.
I've been doing that.
She would murder me.
I've been doing
in
that
my
since they
sleep
were
if I
little.
made her do a report.
Holy shit, Juliet.
It's become something that it's fun for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Because now my children, they do it to me. If I don't know a word that they said, they're like, how about you do an essay on it, mother? and
That's smart.
I
Wow.
love it
I
though.
fucked up.
No. I think it's all different, right? For
No,
all of us.
yeah,
For me, in my head, I was like, how can I have them learn without always giving them the answer? And it's just, I want you to explore. I want you to discover it. I want you to do it for yourself. Especially if I say a plant and they're like, which one is that? I'm like, how about you go look it up, look at the pictures, and come back downstairs and see if you find it. So I kind of make it more interactive. I've done it that way for a really long time. Are they experts in plants? No. They still have questions, but they know to care for them. They know to be careful. They know not to bump into them. They know to respect the room. When I'm watering the plants and they're all by the sink, for instance, did I say that correctly?
You said for instance.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
They're careful not to put like hot water on, not to burn like the steam. Like they do little things that I notice that they are picking up on just being compassionate and careful for another life. That's what's more important to me. How about you, Kaitlyn?
For me, with my kids and plants, it's an exercise in understanding that like we are in communion with other living things. We are in relationship with them. Like we don't own anything or anyone, but we are building intimacy with the world around us. And we ask plants what their names are. We don't name them. We ask the plants what their names are. And we greet them every day and we ask them what they need. And so I also feel like it's a good, more like visibly tangible way for my kids to start developing relationship with spirits in general.
Yes.
Like by starting with their plant elders, their plant parents.
How old are your kids?
7 and 9.
Oh, that's like such a magical age.
Yes.
It's so fun. Yeah.
Cherish it.
Yeah.
Because then they're teenagers.
Not ready.
She's gonna be 11.
I'm still not ready, and it's happening.
Going into
middle school now, right?
Yeah. It does help develop like their spiritual connection for sure. Like she's got the spiritual connection where she can like sense ghosts and stuff like that.
She's very little.
So yeah, and we've always done, I guess, okay, now that we're delving into it, I'm not just like, she's 10 and doesn't care. Like we've done like forest school. We didn't do preschool, we did forest school.
Cool.
Where we would go to the woods and the kids would like paint with mud and like, go maybe get poison ivy.
I want to go to forest school right now.
I want to go right now.
Now.
An adult retreat.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
But I do think that just like what you're saying, it really does develop their connection with spirit. Like it's in the most like simple, innocent way,
Natural way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you two touched upon this as well, but like when you learn to take care of plants, you're really learning how to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
100%.
I think that's a really good lesson for the kiddos too when they're building relationship with plants. So
I think I tell them, I don't know. I tell them, you're going to come help me repot these. You're going to help me, feed these, come water with. I always have them come with me. I always have them be with me because that's how I particularly learned with my mother, is just watching and helping, right? And being hands-on. We were poor. We were living in the project housing, right, in the barrio. So a lot of the ingredients she would need, food stamps couldn't cover all that shit. So she would send my ass to the cemetery. Go get this. Go forage this. Go get that. Even if it was like branches, or a particular flower. She didn't tell me what they were for. She didn't really explain, how to use them. But I just would go do it like an apprentice, right? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
I would go get it, come back and watch her work with them. So yeah, there's life lessons all around. And it just really, really stays with you. And I think even if you didn't start young, and say you didn't start this with your children young, I don't think it's ever too late, right? It's never too late for anything. You're still breathing. You're still here. It's not late. You're present. So why not start now? Why not start implementing that into your life and your daily practice? Oh, the crow said yes.
It's a raven.
Oh, it's a raven.
Yeah.
Oh,
a raven.
There's a group of ravens that
I
live
love them.
behind Witch Baby. That's where we're at right now.
got it.
Ah.
Yeah.
It agreed with me.
Yeah, I love
It's a paid
them.
actor.
The raven's a paid actor.
It's a paid extra. Wow.
What is some advice that you would like to impart, or some wisdom you would like to impart on those people who are listening, who are just beginning their journey into plant witchery?
Or who think they're not good with plants, or like, everything dies, those people.
Well, you don't have to grow plants to work with plants. You know, like if that's not your strong suit, you don't have to do that. And also sometimes when you grow things, it's not even your fault necessarily. At my last house, my last apartment, nothing would grow there. Like the energy was just
Energy is a big part of it. Hell yeah.
No matter
Yeah.
what. I mean, it was like 100-year-old haunted building, and I was on the 3rd floor, so it's just like nothing grew. And except for my lasagna fern. It's not called that, but it looks like
I was
you
going
were
to say
saying,
what?
I was all
My brain
lasagna.
was like, what?
it looks like
That is
lasagna.
that is
It's
the
like,
I
scientific
pictured
name.
lasagna on top of it.
I know
Yeah.
exactly which one you
it's
Yeah.
like it's like wide and wavy like lasagna. It looks like lasagna fern. But that one is the only thing that would grow, nothing else. So I still got the lasagna fern. That one came to the new house. But sometimes it's just not going to work out in your environment. But that's also like one of the lessons of plants is like, if your environment sucks, then you need a new one.
Can't force it to grow where it doesn't want to.
Just working with a plant, getting to know a plant. Sometimes the way I was taught in school, because I went to college for alternative medicine, is when you're doing herbalism to work with one plant and get to know it really well. They even had us do stuff where like we would take a spoonful of it and then hold it in our mouth and like write down everything that like we were picking up or thinking of or feeling, like any sensations in the body. Like, are you getting warm? Are you feeling this like in your mind? Are you feeling it in your legs? That type of stuff. Like just getting in touch with your body. That's the other thing, is that you also want to be like connected to your body if you're working with plants or you're doing any type of witchcraft or psychic anything. You need to be in your body. So just like regularly going through and feeling your body, doing that like what is it, like a meditation where you like go from your toes to your crown or vice versa.
Scan.
Yeah, and just kind of like getting in touch with your body.
That's really important.
Yeah.
The presence of it with you and where it touches you, where you feel it.
Yeah, I mean, there's something like in plants that like it really shows that we're all connected when you work with plants, because you take a plant and it affects your body in a specific type of way. Even like you can say that about like drugs, but a lot of those are just isolated from plants. So at the end of the day, it's plants.
Right.
Like we have a connection. They do have an effect on your body. It's not like something that's just like made up in our heads. If you're coming from like a more scientific perspective and you want to approach it that way, like it's just so important to be mindful of the body when working with plants. And that would be my biggest piece of advice. Not really as much focusing on the gardening, but just like getting to know the plants themselves.
Yeah, that's really good, Tulsi.
That's really, really good.
Excellent.
I love the concept of just not be like expecting yourself to have 50 fucking houseplants and having them all live. Like I do
ADHD.
have that.
I can't do that.
But
I have like 4 in my house.
Because a lot of witch aesthetic shit is like people see like, oh, they have plants and I have to work with plants. I need to be able to like be this beautiful houseplant mom. And like, not everyone has time. People have
not everybody
actual
has time
children.
or
but like it's still valid.
Live in cities and they don't have a lot of
right.
and if that's the case,
Or they live in the fucking desert.
And it's also expensive. It can get expensive if you don't know how to propagate them and grow them yourself.
Get to know the plants in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Those are going to be the best plants for you to work with.
Native plants.
You know?
Yeah.
Anything like that's growing around your house or in your neighborhood, popping through the sidewalks. Like, most people don't realize mugwort loves the city. It loves beat up parking lots. So does belladonna. I mean, don't fuck with belladonna.
Don't.
But if you were trying to be like one of those witches, like, it's easy. It's not as hard to find as you think. And there's just like all sorts of like tomatoes especially. Those pop up everywhere. I saw one growing out of a pipe in Savannah.
Really?
It was like, yeah, like somebody pooped out a tomato, and it was just like growing out of I swear to God,
Magic is everywhere.
growing out of a pipe on the side of a building.
The miracle of rebirth. Yeah.
Well,
Love that.
dog shit
That's
out
very
of
like
tomato.
Hecatean.
And it grew in downtown Cranford, and then everybody just let it grow. They just
It is fertilizer.
It's fertilizer. It's poo poo.
That's very like Hecate vibes, like because she's the eater of filth.
Yeah.
Like there's this rebirth cycle through the filth. I love that.
So
I love that.
If you pay enough attention in the city, you'll find some really
There's a
interesting
lot.
and
There's a lot of
peculiar
them.
things.
Yeah, I find
Poop
myself on the highway wanting to
magic.
go
Poop
over.
magic.
Yeah.
Poop magic.
Poop magic. That's our next episode for sure. I love it. I was listening to your episode on chicory,
Yes.
and you mentioned how chicory like gets overlooked, but yet it's very accessible, and like these weed like lower level sort of like weeds to one person's weed might be another person's like treasure, right?
Probably tell you that. Yeah, it's
You good? It's
like,
interesting.
I find those are some of the best ones to work with, you know, like the stuff that people overlook and they don't even think about, even like catnip, you know.
Oh my God, catnip
Yeah.
it grows so wild in my garden. It's like a big ass bush.
There's so many things. Dandelions also, we talked about this on the podcast, but most people don't know you could like commune with the dead with a dandelion. Like because of the roots. Like you just getting to know the plants around your house. It's like, it really opens up a whole, people think they need this expensive plant or, you know,
it goes back to witchcraft too. Like you need your witchcraft and your magic doesn't need to look a certain way.
You don't have to buy all the things. You don't have to buy everything.
It doesn't even have to have all the things. It doesn't have. It doesn't even have to have any.
It can literally be in your head, and it would still be potent. Like,
and you guys can relate on this, right? Because I know all of you personally how you do your thing. The whole point of playing and working with and practicing with other beings and entities and tools is so that you can learn how to use your own self and tap into those energies. So for instance, when I teach people let's work with dandelion, because it's coming up a lot in this episode. So dandelion, say you don't have dandelion. Have you been in contact with dandelion before? Do you know what dandelion looks like? Just be present, become present, right? Because what you were talking about before with feeling what would go on through your body, that key element is being present with that spirit, right? And if we did that more in life with all the things, we can do things, we can cast I know I do, right? I know I can produce or create and weave with magic without having those things with me because I'm channeling and pulling that energy through, whether it's through vision, through my mind, whether it's through feeling, you mentioned the smell of lavender. That's really powerful. The colors as well. Anything that it does to you, whatever you remember from it, grab onto that and use that and start trying to do that too now. Like if you've been doing work now, keep an ingredient out. Let's use basil. Keep basil out of that spell work or that magical working or that limpia, whatever you're doing. And unless it's necessary to have that present, right? Of course, because it's different for everybody. Take it out and imbue the energy of basil into what you're doing and then see how that works out for you. Start doing that. Start eliminating the physical from what you're doing if you're comfortable, if it's something that you feel called to or aligned to. But I think it's a really good practice to do because a lot of our practices came, especially for our ancestors, I'm looking at you, Kaitlyn, it was because of what? Survival, right? and what happened when we were stripped, our ancestors, our grandmas, abuelitos, abuelas were stripped from access to plants in our lands and access to not being able to afford or grow, right? It's specifically in my motherland, a lot of the things that we grow there don't belong to them, right? It could be taken from them, and specifically with tobacco, right? So for them, they had to learn how to work with their spirits and call them in. And I think that's really important for all of us to start doing, because we're not always going to have access to everything. We're not always going to have the privilege of being able to hold or buy or, get these things. And it just makes you a more powerful person, I think.
Absolutely.
And going back to your question from before, for me, my advice would be let go of expectations and let go of shame. Let it go. Like, it doesn't fucking exist in the world of being connected to.
It doesn't belong anywhere.
It doesn't
really.
belong. It does not belong.
Shame sucks.
Shame fucking sucks. And a lot of times it comes because you're holding on to these expectations, or you expect something. I want my practice to look like Juliet's, right?
Right.
On Instagram. No, it's not going to happen. You know why? Because I set that shit up. It took me time to put it all together. And, because in real life, I do that, but I'm not aware of what I'm doing, my movements, right? What I'm capturing is what I'm actually feeling or seeing. So your magic, the way that you practice, the way that you connect to plants shouldn't look or feel a certain way. It should just be your way. And discover what that is for you.
I feel like it was almost easier for all of us because we didn't grow up with the internet.
Yes,
Being
it was
young witches.
different.
Like, a lot of people criticize the witches on TikTok and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, they hex the moon. Like, they wouldn't hex the moon. Like they wouldn't have tried to hex the moon. You know what I'm saying? Like, every single person on Twitter that's like, oh, these kids. It's like, come on. You like wiped your own blood on a Ouija board at least one time. Like, chill the fuck out. Like...
That's
Weird
wild.
shit.
Yeah.
I have not.
They're just sharing it.
I did that.
I did
The
not.
difference is we did that shit and it wasn't on the internet for everyone to see.
Thank fucking God, right?
It was private.
Yeah, like,
I might have blogged about it on my Zenga, but
Maybe.
You
Live
fucked around
journal.
and found out in your own time, not fucked around and found out with like 100,000 strangers
on a live stream,
with comments and the comments affecting you.
Right.
And,
Yeah, and then you have to like walk into the store, the site, or to the psychic and be like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I fucked up. I need your help. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, I
Right.
have one bit of advice that's really super important to me specifically. You can take it however the hell you want. Decolonize plant medicine, plant spirits, plant energy, and plant magic. And when I say decolonize, is go back to the roots of the truth of that spirit, of that plant. And this is not something that all people are going to want to do, because again, specifically, let's go back to Cuba. We're colonized, right? A lot of our Taino, our indigenous and African traditions that are mixed with it also hold what? The colonizers' practices, right? Because of survival and having to thrive and hide our practices and our belief systems. So I wouldn't expect our people to want to get rid of those practices. Those are already embedded really deeply and rooted into the essence of what our practice and spirituality is. So when I'm saying this, it's more the books that you're buying, the knowledge that you're learning from. Who did it originally come from? Go back to the indigenous people, respecting the people who discovered for real this knowledge is how you connect more to these plants. And this is not just indigenous people here in America. This is everywhere, all around the world. No matter wherever you come from, go and look up those native plants from where you were. Because a lot of the times you'll be surprised that even if you haven't been on your homeland, you're still connected to them, because who's connected to them? Who was working with them, right? Your family, your lineage, your ancestors. So try to decolonize in the best ways that you can. And do what feels right for you, because today there's too many things that are expected for anyone, especially witches, what you look like, how you talk, how you practice, and we're literally everywhere, and we're not all the same, and we're all unique, and that's what makes us individually powerful.
Yes, our power is in our authenticity.
Absolutely. And yes to all that. Yes to all that. We definitely encourage our listeners to do that.
We're trying to get sponsored by Ancestry,
We're trying to
because
get
we talk about it
sponsored by
every week.
Did you know that
I'm like obsessed with Ancestry.com.
my yucayeke our tribe, it's like that's what you call it in English. Are you Cayeque, Hiwayagua? George Estevez, he's my cacique. We were in National Geographic to prove that we're still here through our blood. And ancestry before would say that we're Native American. And it would say that to a lot of people who were indigenous to different places. So that didn't make sense for us. So when we started to do this work, and he started to do this work with professionals, now mine says indigenous to Cuba. And when you click on that, it says Taíno, right? So I can hook you up with Ancestry if you want, because we hooked them up.
Well, shit.
I'm just
Maybe our dream will come true. I don't know.
like to go through Ancestry and read everyone's obituaries and find out the tea.
You can do that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can.
You can find out a lot of stuff. I found out one of my great grandmothers brought a pie to a Quaker meeting. Like I know shit that went on. I know more than this.
How?
Like one of my
I'm missing out.
In that same family lineage, my uncle, one of my great uncles, when he passed away, he was like, the only reason I live this long life is because of my dad, who was a sailor and had a prophecy about this ship sinking, and he put us on a different ship, and his ship sank.
Chelsea, that is so cool.
Yeah, and then like 2 days before that, the psychic was like, "You drowned in a past life." So that was like my last life, probably.
My God.
You know,
wow.
The last time I was a man.
I didn't know that information was accessible like that.
Oh, you can find all kinds of shit.
Sometimes, yeah.
But for you and me, like Juliet, we don't have that.
Yeah, the record keeping.
Okay, so wait a second. My great grandfather's Colombian, and
probably why I don't see it.
I have his father he traveled on ships, and I have every port that he's been to, entire world, like France, all over the place, because you have to stamp or whatever. I don't know how the fuck.
Yeah.
And then also I have his declaration of citizenship when he came to the country. And he had to, denounce the king of wherever, because that's what the paper writing says. So there's some interesting. You'd be surprised. Italy is harder if you're Italian. It's harder to find Italian stuff past when like they came over, because it was just like a bunch of people fighting and like not keeping records and like But there's just some stuff that's surprisingly, I guess the records in Colombia were well kept, because that's also how I found a whole bunch of other stuff on that side. So you'd be surprised, really. It just depends on where.
What us like we had paper genocide, and that's exactly what the Taino are trying to do. The Taino Nation is trying to bring back the fact that we're here and we never were gone.
Yeah.
And a lot of the truths, especially like reclaiming that, Columbus hit us up first. Like that's where they went first in the Caribbean. So a lot of the misinformation, that's what we're out here doing. I'm part of the Indigenous People Movement, and I represent the Caribbean Taino people, just the Caribbean Indigenous people. But that article that came out in National Geographic, that was what it was called, paper genocide.
Okay, so here's the cool thing about Ancestry, not to be like Ancestry.com. Here's the cool thing.
They're our new sponsor.
It's crowdsourced. So it's not like just government records. A lot of these things were uploaded by like family members who had that stuff. So you could probably find stuff that other people have uploaded to Ancestry.com, even like pictures and things like that. Like I've found all sorts of pictures of graves, things like that.
The only information, like I just found out I have a cousin. Like the cousin got a gift, the plant witchery.
I remember
my book Plant Witch. This just happened recently. Someone gifted him plant witchery. He looked at the name Juliet Diaz. I don't know. He had to have a feeling or something, because he said Diaz. That sounds like our great grandmother's name. Looked me up online, saw my picture, went to the his DNA thing, and sure enough, I'm there. And he's like, "Hey, cuz."
That's mad.
Like first cousin?
So then he got your book and everything. That's crazy.
He has ADHD, which is something that I'm going through right now of getting it finalized, because I know. Anyway, so it was just like he came into my life, and then knowing that he has information about his lineage that I wouldn't have from my family.
So you make those connections.
Yeah, but his lineage, I'm pretty sure, is more like Spain you
Yeah.
know, Spain side, because we do have white Cubans, and we have indigenous Cubans, and we have Afro Cubans. So it depends on which path or which
And
way.
Chinese Cubans
And Chinese Cubans,
and Indian Cubans, and
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
so
Chinese
many
Cubans?
people.
Oh
Well,
yeah, they
because-
went. Go ahead.
Yeah, so after slavery began to slowly become abolished, the colonists had to get creative about how to get cheaper free labor. So they started the practice of indentured servitude, and they started importing people from the Canary Islands, which is how my grandfather's grandfather got there, and then specifically China.
Wow.
And it was only men that they would bring over, and they basically made these contracts that said, like, you have to work for this long. And because of these contracts, it like enabled that model minority myth of hierarchy.
Right.
They're like, oh, you're not enslaved, you have a contract, so you're better. And then it like creates that like racial divide between oppressed people. And then colonists keep getting free labor. But like, that's why Cubans cook out of woks, Cubans make stir fry, Cubans make fried rice, Cubans make fried noodle. And it's all
Yummy.
because of the Chinese influence. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is really cool.
But
That's so
so
cool.
many people, this tiny island, so many people from all over the world were brought to this place through
Well, Cuba's actually
difficult
huge.
circumstances. Yeah, Cuba's one of the bigger islands, but it's just wild when you think about how many different people from all these different parts of the planet get concentrated onto this one island.
Wow.
Like, so many spirits.
I think it's
and
really
all of their
interesting
deities.
to even think about like the way that plants also kind of like do the same thing. Like so even here in the States, like we have so many plants that are like from different places.
Like pumpkins grow
Pumpkins
here.
are native.
They're native here.
But there's like you'll be in Florida. Like when I lived in Florida, they've got a lot of weird stuff going on there. Like just all sorts of random things. Like, you know, those really pretty like bonsai trees growing all over the place and just like very random stuff. And then I feel like Juliet was saying earlier, like we're still figuring out like what the properties of those things are, because they start to take on like a different personality and different aspects in different environments.
And different environments really affects it, just like us.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just
like us, exactly.
That is so. It's just this complex.
I know.
Fun world.
I know,
isn't
right?
It?
That's why we are just like the plants. They are just like us.
They are.
This has been really cool.
This has been very, very cool.
So fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
How can our listeners support you? Where can we find you? How can we support your work?
I'm on Instagram at Witch Baby Soap and at Chelsea at Stay at Home Witch on Instagram, and then on TikTok at Witch Baby Soap and at Chelsea the Witch, which I recently joined a parent call in with my name as. That was fine. I was like, sorry, it's the TikTok thing.
Surprise!
And then I'm on Twitter at Witch Baby Soap, but I don't really use that as much. So follow me on Instagram or TikTok.
I am on TikTok. I'm like TikTok. I'm on TikTok and Instagram. I am Juliet Diaz. Please, please, please be aware that I have a gazillion impersonators. There's nothing I can do about it. There's no underscores. There's no 2 T's. There's no 2 E's. No 2 I's. It's just me. And Spirit Bound Press. Spirit Bound Press is something that and relating this to plants and decolonizing and bringing us back to ourselves and our inner magic and bringing back our cultures and our truths and all of those things. That's what Spirit Bound Press stands for, is for you to have the access to authentic knowledge, authentic practitioners and spiritualists and witches who are rooted or belong to the things that they teach or practice. So your support would mean a lot if you go and hang with us.
And yes, and are you still fundraising, Juliet?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, so yes, please go check out Spirit Bound Press on Instagram. Click on the link in their bio, and you can contribute to being a part of creating.
We are a community-based
mission.
I left traditional publishing. If you don't mind me going into it a little bit.
Oh, please.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I think
No, please.
I left traditional publishing, and there was no other reason that other than I did not align with their values, what they stood for, and what they were doing. I'm a successful author. Every single work that I have put out there, thank goodness, blessed, have been a bestseller.
Award-winning.
Award-winning. Yes. And I could have easily stayed there in my comfort. But naturally, I just don't feel right with being or going anywhere, like I said before, without sharing it or being able to share it or have it be trickled down to the community, right? What's the point of rising? What's the point of opening open door and going through it when you got to lock it behind you, right? Not only that, I felt like I was being used and, not being awarded the way that I should have in many different ways, right? So here comes Spiritbound Press. We are an imprint of Row House, and we do work with diverse voices in magical and spirituality. We're going to be launching the children's section soon. Me and Laura will have something to say about it soon.
Oh my God, is this our announcement that we're working together?
It's a little teaser.
Yes.
Coming soon.
Very soon.
Yeah, very soon.
We just want you to create with us, to build something that hasn't been built. And this has been the hardest shit I've ever done in my freaking life. I've been pushed. I'm still every single day pushed out of my comfort zone. There's so much that I have to heal quickly, so much that I have to understand quickly, so much that I need to connect to on a daily basis. I have to learn how to shut my mouth, listen to people who know what they're doing, listen to people who have all different voices, so that we are exactly what we want to be, a diverse and inclusive press, a publisher. And we're not just a publisher, we're a community. So there's events, there's going to be workshops, there's going to be lessons, and a lot of it, we want to source it for free for you. We want you to have access to all of these things. We want you to stop being scared or worried or not confident in the books that you're picking up. Who wrote that? Who wrote that information? There is no cultural appropriation coming through our doors. None. We stop it right at the submission, and it's happened many times. And I'm not surprised. So we're doing the things that we all collectively have been wanting to happen. And my crazy ass, the Pisces dreamer, believes that we can do this, that we can accomplish this together. But like all things, we need the money, we need the funding. I am working on my own money. Like I am working off my salaries that I'm making from my books. I'm implementing it into Spiritbound Press. A lot of the donations that came in amazingly helped us. I was able to create a team with that. But we still need so much funding. We want to publish a minimum of 6 authors a year. And that's huge. And on top of that, our authors get 40% royalty. Unheard of in the publishing world industry. I can tell you that because if I made 40% off of witchery alone, I would be a millionaire.
I got offered a book deal one time and they were like 8%.
Bitch, I guess 6.
They were like, well, we'll give you a laptop. And I was like,
what?
I have laptops. Like, that's kind of
a laptop.
Yeah.
Insane.
They were like, well, we'll give you enough money to like you could buy a new laptop. And I was like,
oh, hell no.
First of all, I fucking hate laptops. Second of all.
Wow.
What? And then I was like, is it really like this? Like,
it's worse. It's worse because they have systems and programs in place, and I get that's how publishing works, but that's not how it has to stay. And we're a community of resistance, and we're a community that reclaims, and that we're waking up, and just all of us together. I think that we need a new path. We need a new way. We're tired of our shit being commercialized, stolen, appropriated, not crediting the right people, especially our elders who have done these lessons since forever, and we're here like, oh, I came up with this concept. No, bitch, you didn't. We need to go back to respecting where this information, with this knowledge, where the magic came from, and we need to go back to learning authentically how to use the books to implement into our lives, not to be a rule, not to be what you need to follow, but something that's going to inspire your practice. And I think that's what we're aiming for. So yes, pretty please, we need funding, we need help. We need community support, either through service, either through awareness, sharing. Hit me up. We can connect. We could do all the things together.
That's it. Thank you so much for sharing all that. What you're doing, what you're both doing is so important. And you're both such amazing witches and inspirations to both of us. And we fucking are fans.
We're
and
fans of you too.
It's nice to just meet like-minded people, and we appreciate you being here and sharing all of
Thanks for
your
having
wisdom
us.
with our audience.
And listeners, be sure to check out Elder Hour. You can
Yes.
listen anywhere that's podcasts are streaming.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
When is
we're
your
on
new
Instagram
season?
We're
at
on
Elder
Instagram.
Hour,
Yeah.
right?
Elder Hour. Yeah,
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Okay.
Mhm.
At Elder Hour.
Amazing.
My brain
Is there a
cannot
new
work.
is there a new season coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
soon?
we're working on it.
Soon.
We're working on it right now, actually.
Probably within like
Amazing.
I don't know when is this gonna air?
Probably June sometime.
Yeah.
Ours will be probably in June.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Probably
Okay.
also
Well,
June.
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being
Yes,
here.
for having us.
Thank you for
being
having us.
It was a lot of fun.
here.
This was fun.
Thank you for listening to Third Eye Bind.
Be sure to leave us a message on the Third Eye line. Until next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. You can follow the podcast at Third Eye Bind Pod on Instagram. There, submit your questions via the Third Eye line by sending us a voice message or text DM. The show is available wherever you listen to podcasts and for you to watch on YouTube. Get early access to episodes and even monthly one-on-one sessions with us by joining our Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/thirdeyebind. Third Eye Bind is produced and edited by Mike Realm. Hosted by Kaitlyn Grania and Laura Wong. Music by Mike Realm. Set design by Laura Wong. You can find Laura on Instagram at Lady Moon Co. And you can find Kaitlyn at kaitlyn.grania.